of covenant and faithful promises. Time and time again, you have proven you do just what you said. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I will remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. God, from age to age, though the earth may pass away, your word remains the same. Your history can prove there's nothing you can't do. You're faithful and true. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. I put my faith in Jesus, my anchor to the ground, my hope and firm foundation. He'll never let me down. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. can't seem to win all these crazy thoughts and feelings. It's like it never ends until your voice breaks through my noise. And I know I'm not alone. I'm not alone. You will fight my battles if I would just be still. Why would I keep running when you're right here? I'll just be quiet and let you speak through the silence. Here I am, no more hiding. You are in this moment, I won't fight it. I'll be quiet. I don't need to know what comes next. Tomorrow's in your hands. I can trust you with my future, 'cause you're already there. I hear your voice call me forward, and I know I'm not alone. I'm not alone. Away with the distractions. I wanna hear what's true. The only words that matter, they come from you. I'll just be quiet, let you speak through the silence. Here I am, no more hiding. You are in this moment, I won't fight it. I'll be quiet, I'll just be quiet. Let you speak through the silence. Here I am, no more hiding. You are in this moment, I won't fight it. I'll be quiet. In the pressing, you are making new wine. In the soil I now surrender, you are making new ground. So I yield to you until you're careful. When I trust you, I don't need to understand. So make me a vessel, make me an offering, make are breaking new ground. You are breaking new ground. So make me a vessel, make me an offering, make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing but all you've given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Oh, Jesus, bring new wine out of me. 'Cause where there is new wine, there is new power, there is new freedom, and the kingdom is here. I lay down my old flames to carry a new fire today. 'Cause where there is new wine, there is new power, there is new freedom, and the kingdom is here. I lay down my old flames to carry a new fire today. So make me a vessel, make me an offering, make me whatever you want me to be. I came here with nothing but all you've given me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. Jesus, bring new wine out of me. If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. And if you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Oh, I find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, and I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ba-da-ba-ba-da, ba-da-da-da-da. You'll always have my shoulder when you cry. I'll never let go, never say goodbye. You know you can count on me like 1, 2, 3, and I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. You can count on me 'cause
worship at Hollywood this morning. For those of you with us here in person in our alternate worship space and those of you online, it's so good to be with you. Life certainly has changed in the last couple of years, and we've really gotten used to navigating this space of some of us here in chairs together, and then, Sabbath school we were in chairs and online and always checking to make sure we were all heard. I love the pictures that start us off, reminding us of this neighborhood in which we find ourselves here in Hollywood. This is the place where God has called us to live and serve. And I'm just glad that each of you are here. So Pastor Branden's sermon title this morning, Bubbles. The first thought that came to my mind was, as a kid, we didn't have a lot, but when we got that plastic bottle of bubbles to play with at the beach or the park or the pond in our town, I just loved seeing how long I could keep a bubble alive after it had made contact with my hand. And I would often get frustrated by how quickly it disappeared, but when I could get it right so it just stayed there, that was like a win that day. Just a bubble. I think it's a lot like maybe our friendships and relationships, our relationship with God and each other. Because sometimes it can be very sensitive and tenuous like that, and just poof, oh no, where'd it go? I gotta work to get it back. So welcome to worship and bubbles and whatever we're going to learn together this morning. And just remember that the God who is with us here, where we choose to meet with him each week together, is with us in all the other spaces that we find ourselves the other 6 days of the week. There is no door that he doesn't follow us in or lead us into. He's always present. Well, let's take time now to enter in his presence and sing some music with RJ.
Friends, happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath to our viewers online. Friends, let's all stand as we sing some praises to God today.
Let praise be a weapon that silences the enemy.
Let praise be a weapon that conquers all anxiety. Let it arise. Let praise arise. We sing your name in the dark and it changes everything. We sing with all we are and we claim your victory. Let it arise. Let praise arise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. Fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side. Forever lift him high. With all creation cry, God, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, let faith be the song that overcomes the raging sea. Let faith be the song that calms the storm inside of me. Let it arise. Let faith arise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side. Forever lift him up. With all creation cry, God, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Oh, this is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise you. This is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise you. This is what living looks like. This is what freedom feels like. This is what heaven sounds like. We praise you, we praise. We'll see you break down every wall. We'll watch the giants fall. For fear cannot survive when we praise you. The God of breakthroughs on our side. Forever lift him high. With all creation cry, God, we praise you. Oh, we praise you. Praise you. Oh.
Good morning, I'm Andrew, and this is Kirsten, and we're going to be doing Praying the Word. I will read the part that says one, and then please read along with Kirsten on the part that says all. Sabbath, peace, and health be with you.
And all with all who worry.
Let us pray. God, help us not to be afraid of those who choose evil or envy those who profit from injustice.
They're like grass in a drought. Soon they will wither and fade away.
Bring stillness to the hearts as we wait patiently for you.
Even though wickedness seems to be winning, we will rest in you.
We reject rage and cruelty. It only leads to evil.
Those who choose evil will only find death, but those who choose hope will find your everlasting life.
The wicked are plotting against love and justice every day, filling the air with their lies and fear.
But you laugh in the face of evil. knowing your day of loving judgment is coming soon.
Care for us, God. We choose life instead of lies. Our hope in your promises endures forever.
In the drought we will thrive, in the famine we will feast. Who chose wickedness will blow away like smoke in the wind. Amen.
Let's keep singing, friends. Who breaks the power of sin and darkness? Whose love is mighty, that's so much stronger. The King of glory, the King above all kings. Who shakes the whole earth with only thunder and leaves us breathless in awe and wonder. The King of glory, the King above all kings. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love. That you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Who brings our chaos? Who brings our chaos back into order? Who makes the orphan a son and daughter? The King of glory, the King of glory, who rules the nations with truth and justice, and shines like the sun in all of its brilliance. The King of glory, the King above all kings. This is amazing grace. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love. That you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Sing, worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy, worthy, worthy. Oh, this is amazing grace. This is unfailing love. That you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. As you sing the song, there's a line in the song in the bridge that sort of it always speaks to me in times when I'm either rejoicing, depressed, or just not feeling sort of where I'm at, sort of just down or something. The bridge says, every hour, every minute, you have always been there. You are faithful and you always will be. In every triumph, every failure, you are loyal to me. And this week, I celebrated a big triumph. But it also made me think about the failures that I had prior to this triumph. And throughout those different things that have taken place in my life, there have been times where I've doubted this promise that God has given us, this care that He would always be here and He would always, He would never leave us. And there are times that I have thought that I've walked alone in these certain circumstances, but the more that I think about every single time and every single one of those journeys that I've been on, He's never left my side. And I pray that as we sing this song today, we continue to remind ourselves that He's never going to leave us. We're never going to walk alone. And that He continues to love us regardless of triumph or failure or anything like that. So let's sing this song together. Your heart is for me. Your ear is listening. I'm safe in your love. Your army of angels watch over me. You're present. You're always with me. For all of my life, your favor has followed. You're my covering. And I have never walked alone. I've never been abandoned. You are my inheritance. You are my strength and shield, and I have confidence. You go before me. You're my deliverer. I know I never walk alone. You're always faithful. You're strong and able. I'm lifting my head. In you I find help. You're my providence. And I have never walked alone. I've never been abandoned. You are my inheritance. You are my strength and shield, and I have confidence. You go before me. You're my deliverer, and I know I never walk alone. Oh, I'll never walk alone. In every hour, every minute, you have always been there. You were faithful, and you always will be. In every triumph, every failure, you were loyal to me. You were faithful, and you always will be. You were faithful, and you always will be. And I have never walked alone. I've never been abandoned. You are my inheritance. You are my strength and shield, and I have confidence. You go before me, and you're my deliverer. And I know I never walk alone. I've never been abandoned. You are my inheritance. You are my strength and shield, and I have confidence. You go before me, and you're my deliverer. And I know I never walk alone. In every hour, every minute, you have always been there. You were faithful, and you always will be. In every triumph, every failure, you were loyal to me. You were faithful, and you always will be. You were faithful, and you always will be. You are faithful, and you always will be. Amen. You may be seated.
Good morning. I'm Bill. I'm one of the elders, but today I am in front of you as someone representing the design committee. You're saying, what's that? Well, about a year ago, we chose to start a remodel project. And one of the first steps was to form a design committee. And I want to recognize all the great participation from May, Andrew, Branden, Jeremy, RJ. Did I miss anybody? I think that's it. But oh, Emmanuel, yes, early on, before they had their kid. I mean, we really, I think we worked hard. We got the design. We narrowed the scope to what we could afford. We figured out which contractors to hire or work with, and everybody contributed. Everybody had their own sources, and I think we worked great. We argued great. There were some really tough things. Everybody brought their perspective, and I think that's what made the project so much better. It's the combined talents and opinions and input of the group. And I just want to let you know that while we're worshiping here today, another part of our church is worshiping in Azusa. Our pews. Do you recognize the the red pews. Well, next slide. That's the new pews, at least partially completed. Next slide. Before the fabric is put on, first the cushion is put on, then the fabric liner, and then the fabric. Next slide. You can see a lot of them. We have a lot of pews. Next slide. This is a machine that holds down the lining and the cushion, so in order to glue them, so it stays in place. Next slide. All these gray pews, you can see there a lot of it has been done already. Next slide. These are the intermediate supports and from the pews, and as they disassemble them, a lot of them cracked open. So, and you can see the wood is kind of old and stained, or the stain has worn off. So next slide. You glue them back together. So you glue them and clamp them. And next slide. These are all the pieces that are glued together, waiting for the glue to cure. Next slide. Need to sand off the old finish, so a new stain, a new finish can be applied. A nice little jig they have here with a band sander, and you can see the worker here, and then the finished ends of the pews now that it's all sanded. So I just wanted to update you on the other part of the congregation that's in Azusa today. And now we have an even more important announcement about Ciclavia.
Thank you, Bill. Yes, so that was really cool, actually. It's really neat to see that, the pews are getting remodeled, and sooner than later, before you know it, we'll be back in the sanctuary. But worship doesn't just happen, or it doesn't have to just happen on Sabbath. And as Kirsten reminded us in her welcome, because God follows us everywhere we go, at church, outside of church. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Ciclavia. It's a citywide event where they block down a 6-mile route. They block it off to cars and open it to pedestrians and bicyclists. And they basically turn a 6-mile route into a park. And it's just a really neat way to see your city. I promise you it looks different when there aren't parked cars on the sidewalk or along the sidewalk, and you're not seeing it from a car as well. It's also important to know it's a free event. It's open to everybody. And usually when the city, shuts down streets like this, it's for a marathon. Well, this is not a race, and you can start at any point in the route. You don't have to go from start to finish. There is no start or finish. It's just all blocked off. It's just like one big 6-mile park. And if you don't have a bike, no problem. You can use any other type of wheels. Rollerblade, skateboard, roller skates, scooters. Their only thing is that it's not like a motor. It's not like a motor. Doesn't have a motor. But there's definitely flyers that you can pick up so you can learn more about it. But I basically just encourage everyone to go. But if you want to do more tomorrow, our church we'll have a tent outside of the fire station so that there's still 4 feet for access. We'll be set up there and handing out free water bottles. And we're also going to be offering free air. Like we'll have, so far we have 3 bike pumps that we'll have. And people can, if their tires are a little low, they can come and get some free air in their tires. My husband and I try to go to every Ciclavia event. There's like a handful a year. And one year, one of our tires was low. And we were searching, like surely someone, and sure enough, someone had a bike pump that they're letting people use. So we wanted to be offering that as well, because it's needed, and it's always a relief when someone's like, I have air here, you can use my bike pump. So that's what we're doing tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. The event goes from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., but I wanted us to just participate volunteer-wise for just a portion of that so that we can also participate as participants ourselves. So there's time to do that. And there's time to, do a community outreach event, which this is going to be for our church. So if you want to come out and volunteer, that's from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Please note that we ask you to park on the street, find street parking, and that Hollywood Boulevard will be closed. So you'll have to access this area from Franklin. And then if you can't make it out tomorrow, one thing that you can do to help with this community outreach event is to stay after church today for like 20 minutes to help us create our water bottles. Because in addition to just handing out free water and offering that service to the participants at Ciclavia, we made these labels that will advertise the shower ministry that we have here at church. Because we think that's a really important ministry, and we just want to get the word out. Because oftentimes people want to help, but they don't know how to help. So letting people know about this shower ministry is a great way to let people help. And so we're helping other people help, which is just very cool. So we need help putting the labels on the water bottles. We have some water bottles at the back table already donated, and we're going to just put the labels on it. So if you can't make it out Sunday, but you really want to help this awesome community outreach event, stay after today for like 20 minutes and help us prep the water bottles. Oh, and we'll be making posters. So water bottles and posters, just a fun craft day. And that's what I wanted to say. And Bill, back to you. Yes? Okay. Thank you.
To say this is Hollywood life, where we talk about our congregation. So take time to turn around, greet your neighbor, say hello, and we'll go on with the rest of the program.
It's offering time in Hollywood. It's offering time. So as we've heard from Kelsey and Bill, we have amazing programs here at the church. The needs of the church, the neighborhood, are all necessary to support these programs and ministries. So I thank you all in advance, your time, dedication, and support and stewardship. More important to remember is what is greater than any monetary need that is necessary to maintain a church facility and continue with these great ministries is what God ultimately wants for us, and that is to know Him. And remember, what we need most is learning how to place our trust in Him. The practice of giving our tithes and offerings is a way we demonstrate our faith by giving the fruits of our labor and earnings to God. What we receive back in return is tenfold, and it's priceless. It's a blessed assurance. Just a reminder today, any loose offerings to the church go to our local church budget, whereas your tithe goes to the general conference. If you'd like to designate your funds to a special need to our Hollywood ministry, we have those designated in the envelopes. So it's the building improvements, Compassion Connection, where it's needed most, and then the conference. You can give online at givinghollywoodadventist.org, or you can pick up an envelope and designate where you'd like to give and drop them in the box. Thank you, and God bless each of you for being a part of this church community.
Please imagine with me this scene. You can close your eyes, just kind of take it in. Imagine with me seeing a sea in front of you. A large sea. Close your eyes. Imagine a sea that stretches out into the horizon. You can't see anything past the horizon. It's just water in front of you, an ocean. And from this sea, you begin to see bubbles rising to the surface, forming, growing bigger, holding for a bit, and then popping. And then more bubbles begin to flow up to the surface, growing big and beautiful, sparkling in the sunlight, and then pop, 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 pop. More and more to where the sea is covered in bubbles everywhere of all sizes and colors and reflections. And they rise up and they're beautiful, but then they only last a few minutes and they pop away. Now imagine with me that you find that as you wade out into this sea, into this ocean, into this water, that you find that if you touch a bubble with your hand, they suddenly become permanent and lasting, as precious as gemstones. Some look blue like sapphires, some look like bright like diamonds. Some, they have all different hues and colors, just shining, and they become permanent, beautiful, glorious, and precious, lasting for all eternity. Now you can open your eyes. Isn't that kind of neat? What if that reality is the one that you stood in right now? How many bubbles would you turn to gemstones? How many? Just one? I need one. No, I don't think so. I think you'd be like me, where touch as many as you possibly can, right? These are beautiful, and each one is unique and precious. And then when you touch it, it lasts forever. How amazing is that? I've been putting together these different sermon illustrations based on these particular things that were very common in our lives, like bubbles. Before we talked about stones last week. We talked about sticks and stones, and before that we talked about, did I mess up? We talked about soap. Wasn't there another one? No, not yet? Okay. So I've got quite a few more for the rest of this month and next month, these different illustrations, and I want to give you something to walk away from this message with, something tangible, something in your hand, something you can keep and remember the illustrations that are here, as well as when you interact with these normal things in your life. You'll see in this physical object something that is eternal, something that is spiritual, something that is not seen by the things that we see. Those bubbles turn into gemstones are so precious, but if you had not touched them, they would have disappeared forever, right? And so I would touch as many as I could. You know, Scripture has some interesting Bible texts that kind of resemble this particular point. In James chapter 4, James makes a passing statement in verse 14. He says, "What is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes." He's not saying that we're literally mists, not saying something about, anyway, he's not talking about that. Instead, he's talking about just the lifespan. What is it like? We come up, we exist, kinda, for a bit, and then we're gone. A whole lifetime. 80, 90, 100 years. Sometimes less, sometimes a little more. But what is that in the span of Earth's history or in eternity? It's nothing. It kind of can become very disconcerting, right? That our lives can be over so quickly, that everything that we experience can someday be gone and forgotten from the face of the earth, that everything that we accomplish, everything we work for, it can fall apart and someone else will take it and ruin it or lose it or something. It's discouraging. But there is a reality that we have in Jesus that is different than this fleeting wisp that is our reality right now. You know, bubbles, they're so pure. They're fragile, but, you know, in a moment they'll just disappear. The world can put so much pressure and force on us and against each one of us, and this will be our end if it were up to ourselves. Many people in life, I'm there most of the time, just floating through life aimlessly. Just the breeze carries me. Sandra was so kind my bubble maker broke, and so Sandra was making bubbles, I think, as you were coming in, right? And it's so fun to play with bubbles when you're a kid especially, and when you're an adult too. I was thinking about handing out but then those would be like little COVID bombs floating around outside. We don't want that in this climate right now. But this Scripture has this perspective in different parts, certainly in Ecclesiastes. But when you look at Psalms, I want you to, you can listen with me here in Psalm chapter 103, verses 15, 16, and 17. As for man, his days are like grass. He flourishes like a flower of the field, for the wind passes over it, and it is gone, and its place knows it no more. But the steadfast love of the Lord is from everlasting to everlasting on those who fear him, and his righteousness to his children's children. I loved the prayer today that we opened with. That was really powerful, and the songs had certain points that I was noticing as we were looking at these different things. You know, sometimes, though, you can touch a bubble to pop it, right? Bubble comes up, and you boop, and it disappears. And then sometimes you can actually touch a bubble to save it, like Kirsten was talking about earlier. I asked May to come up. Would you please come up? And I thought I saw Daniel. Was he here? Did he leave? Oh, okay. I'm going to have you come up real quick, May. We're going to do a science experiment to illustrate what Kirsten was describing. I'm sure you've experienced. You want to stand over on this side, please? Oh, Daniel, do you want to come forward too? Henry, if you want to. Last chance. Okay. All right, Daniel, come on up. We'll have both of you. So I'm going to make some bubbles, hopefully with this. I'm not going to blow them because COVID. Do you want to stand over here? I don't have COVID. I'm just saying. So stand a little bit there. Perfect. So I'm going to hopefully make some bubbles with this fancy schmancy machine. And when they float up, I want you to try and hold one, okay? All right, and then we're going to try a different way in a second. Okay, here we go. You getting it? You getting it? How many did you hold? How many do you have in your hand? Now it's working, so this is great. So how many do you have? Oh, how about you? Oh, that's too bad. Well, you can go back to your seat. I'm just kidding. No. Now, we're going to try something different. I'm going to put some bubble mixture onto this plate, and I'm going to ask that you put your hand, we have wipes there, you put your hand in it, and then we'll see how many you can hold. Just put one hand right there, yeah, and put in your fingers. All right. Thank you. All right, let's see how this works. None yet. Science, reproducible. Oh no. Well, you got the idea. Thank you very much. You did a wonderful job. Thank you. Oh boy, how fun. So, wow, wasn't that amazing? They held so many bubbles. Yay. Thank you. Well, pretend like it actually worked this time. I should have used the detergent variety. Did you know you can put sugar with dish soap and water, and you can make bubble mixture, and it lasts a lot longer. You can almost bounce it. It's pretty neat. Didn't do that today. So with bubbles, you should be able to hold bubbles if you have bubble mixture on your hands. But if you just try and grab them, I don't know what people were doing as they were coming inside. How do you play with bubbles? Do you just kind of look at it and watch it fall, or do you go hoo 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 hoo? Try and pop it. Yeah, the hoo hoo. Yeah. So you can either poke a bubble to pop it, or you can touch a bubble to hold it. And the difference is if you become a bubble yourself. In order to touch a bubble to not harm it, because they're so fragile, is that you have to become a bubble yourself, to be incarnational, to become a bubble in order to hold a bubble. Bubbles on your hands, they let you, even though you get messy, you got to be all in so that you don't harm those bubbles. Jesus understood bubbles. Jesus became a fragile human so that God could reach us. Jesus became fragile so that way he could touch us and he could work with us and he wouldn't harm us. Jesus came across this fragile person, aimless, hopeless, about to pop. And what did Jesus do? Let's look in Mark chapter 1. This is our story for today. Mark chapter 1, verse 40. Mark chapter 1, verse 40. And it says this: "And a leper came to him." A leper was somebody that had a disease. Still, this disease is around today, but we've learned to develop some medications that will help people if they get leprosy, where they can't feel, which is interesting. They're so fragile, but they can't feel. This leper came to him, imploring him, and kneeling said to him, "If you will, you can make me clean." Now, leprosy is a contagious disease. I mean, this is a virus that when you get it, we can't cure it, but we can help solve the effects of it. And this disease, it has to do with immunity, and it has to do with our ability to feel and heal from that. And it's contagious. So if you touch someone with leprosy, you might get it too, if they're not being treated at the time. And the leper came to him imploring, "If you will, you can make me clean." Verse 41, "Moved with pity, Jesus stretched out his hand and touched him and said to him, 'I will be clean.' And immediately the leprosy left him and he was made clean." Isn't that amazing? The God that created us, even in our brokenness, even in the frailty that we became, still reached out and touched us. That kind of action can you imagine a perfect almighty God coming to us in his all of his glory, and he come close to us and touch us? Oh, what would that be like? One of the prophets that experienced it, and he fell down as though he was dead. It was an overwhelming experience for him. But Jesus, he becomes like us so that he can touch us, he can be with us, and he can connect with us. Sometimes we'll come across somebody in our life, in our experience, that is very fragile. We'll come across somebody who is very, they're just as we described this man. They're floating around aimlessly. They're fragile, they're hopeless, they're ready to pop. And we come across them and we see something that they're going through, and instead of being gentle with them, we say, "What are you doing?" And we pop them. We handle them roughly. We're not sensitive like Jesus. We don't reach out to touch and to heal. We reach out to touch and to do some damage. And that's a really sad part of that we recognize in ourselves, isn't it? Maybe you yourself recognize that you are just like a bubble, that you are ready, you are floating and you're ready to pop, and that your time here on earth is fleeting. But we know that there is an eternal reality that can be just like what Jesus did, to reach out and to touch somebody, to change their life. And he did that with more than just this one man, but this one was a unique situation. He touched the untouchable, and he made a lasting impact on this person's life. And each time Jesus touches each one of us, these are us bubbles who are fascinating and precious and beautiful and fragile. He keeps us around longer than those few moments that we can exist in our lives. He touches us and he keeps us forever if we let him. Bubbles that are about to pop, we should treat them like bubbles instead of problems and threats and worries. There's this illustration. It fits with the sermon, but it's a little different. Pivot with me. There is this story I heard, which was pretty neat. It's completely made up. And there was this great kingdom, fantasy kingdom, and this large bubble fell into this kingdom, drifted on into the kingdom, and landed in the courtyard. Well, the king rallied all of his strong and mighty warriors around this bubble, and he called out for one of his warriors to go and attack the bubble. And the warrior, he made fists, and he ran after the bubble, and suddenly he was floating inside of the bubble. And then he said, "Oh, I've got to go stronger." And so he had his strongest knight get on his horse and put out his lance and charge after the bubble. And pretty soon, the knight and the horse and the lance were all inside the bubble, floating around. And finally, the king, he stepped right up to the bubble, and he said, "Get out of my kingdom, you bubble!" And he pushed the bubble, and now the king was in the bubble too. It's all made up. It's not. And then, when everyone was afraid, and the princess, young girl, she walks down from the castle, and she goes, "It's a bubble." And she pokes out her finger, and poop, and it pops. Sometimes there are problems in our life. There are big things that we think are very big things that need a strong reaction against it. But all we need to do is, poop. It's just a bubble. It's just a bubble. In Matthew chapter 18, verse 15. Matthew 18, verse 15. Jesus explains it this way, and Paul reiterates it another way, but very similar in one of his writings. 18, verse 15. He says, "If your brother sins against you," or your sister, I'm sure, "if your sibling sins against you, go and tell them their fault between you and them alone. If they listen to you, then you've gained back your brother, your sister, your sibling." This is something that is a difficult thing to do when we've got something that floats into our lives like a big bubble. We think, "Oh, I've got to attack it." And you know what? What happens instead is we get sucked up inside of this massive bubble. But when all we really need to do is go to that person individually. It says when someone does something wrong against you, go to them individually, talk to them. When you do this individually, you're not creating a scene where other people are involved and there's an audience. That's not going to be helpful, right? And if you go to them personally, there's no shame involved in that because you're talking to them one-on-one. There's not an audience that's trying to condemn that situation or that interaction. It preserves that person's dignity and ability to say, oh, you know what, I did that wrong. I'm so sorry. Thank you for telling me about that. Or, I didn't know that you had that perspective. I didn't know that's how you were feeling. And so then they're able to counter that. Or they're able to say, no, I did what was right. What's your big problem? Then Jesus says that if your brother sins against you, go to them privately. And if they listen, then you've gained your brother. Verse 16. But if he does not listen, take one or two others along with you. One or two. Not the whole family, not the whole church, not Facebook, not Instagram, not everything that on Twitter. But if he does not listen, take one or two along others with you, that every charge may be established by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. But that's only after you've already gone to them individually. Because it's a problem. Yes, it is a problem. That's no denying it. But you've gone individually. You didn't tackle them with other people. Instead, you waited, and they said, no, that's not my problem. Then now you've got 1 or 2 more people with you, people that they maybe hopefully respect and trust. And then you have a conversation now with the 3 or 4 of you. And as you share, this really is a concern. I think it really is still a problem. I think you did do me wrong. Then that 1 or 2 other people, they say, yeah, that sounds like you did them wrong. And then the other person is able to then be like, oh, now I've got 2 or 3 people now that are explaining the same thing to me. I should probably listen. Or it might turn on you, but this would be a good thing, to where the 1 or 2 people, others say, actually, I think that they were right in doing that. You know, maybe it wasn't communicated right, and then you talk through it, and maybe both people are wrong, and then those other people are able to establish that. And then it says, if he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses even to listen to the church, let him be to you as a Gentile or a tax collector, an outsider, or somebody that's on the outside. But then what do you do with someone that's on the outside? You try to bring them back in. There is this process of handling people that Jesus outlines to where it's gentle, it's careful, it's sensitive to the needs of the situation and to the needs of the person that's been offended or the offender. And that way, this process is very careful. It's good for you because you're not trying to see who can get on your side before you go and address their problem. It's not just handling the situation by yourself, because you've got other people that can come in later if the person still doesn't listen. So there's recourse. It's very carefully laid out, and it's beautiful. It's precious, and it will help preserve those bubbles, those precious people in your life that can be gemstones that in the setting, in the space that God has put you in. People are precious, and it's very difficult to hold on to. And what about you? What about you? Do you want people to be careful and sensitive with you, recognizing that you too have issues in your own life that you want them to be sensitive to if they are coming to you to talk to you about something they see maybe is wrong or something that they're going through, to recognize that we're all fragile, to be gentle. How has God been gentle and careful with you in your own journey and your own processing? God has made you eternal by reaching out and touching you with his son Jesus, the story of Jesus, getting to know God through the stories of Jesus, and then saying, this God is someone that I want to be in relationship with, that I want to trust. That's what relationship is. Say, I trust him. I trust that when God touches me, when God works on my life, when God intervenes or seemingly doesn't, I'll trust that God is able to carry me through even this, and that none of those tears, none of that pain or struggle that I've gone through will be wasted. He doesn't do anything too much or too little, but that he holds us and he makes us eternal. What a beautiful, beautiful process that God brings us through as his precious bubbles. Scripture says that God is depicted as looking forward to that day of the resurrection, as that day in which he makes up his jewels. He collects them from all the corners of the earth, every tribe, nation, tongue, and people. He collects up his jewels. He looks at these precious, fragile bubbles as these beautiful, precious gems. And one day he'll collect us all, and he'll have us. And what a neat illustration is that. I could give out gemstones. I'm giving you out bubbles today. If people are bubbles, then they can be popped so easily. People are fragile. Handle with prayer. To preserve, our aim is to preserve rather than to destroy. Isn't this the work of Christ and of Christians? To preserve rather than to pop, to save rather than to destroy. When we come up to someone in a rant or a rage, a soft word turneth away anger, turneth away wrath, Scripture says. That soft touch, not the, well, then I'm gonna, because then we get pulled up into that bubble too, right? We are a community of bubbles, all carefully sitting here hoping no one will pop us with a comment or a look. Treat bubbles like Jesus did. In closing, today, as you leave, you'll be going to find two things just outside that door. One will be a small permanent bubble, or a couple bubbles, depending on how many you want to take, for you to take as a reminder of your resolution that the people around you are precious and fragile. The second thing you'll find out the door as you exit is a world full of bubbles, needing your attention and love and encouragement to make them last forever, to make them eternal. Speak of Jesus, remind them of his undying love for them, and pray with them in their aimless floating and in yours. Imagine these two lives, two ways of going through life, as you yourself be this wisp of smoke or this blade of grass or this bubble. Violently grabbing bubbles, trying to see how many you can pop. Some people do that in this metaphor in life. And some carefully appreciating each one with both hands clasped and smiling. Which one will you be? May God bless you all.
So let's all stand and sing together as we close our service.
You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope. You restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord, and it's your breath in our lungs, and so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. Great are you, Lord. So you give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give
that is broken. And great are you, Lord. It's your breath, and it's your breath in our lungs. And so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. And so we pour out our praise to you only. And great are you, Lord. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. And it's your breath in our lungs. And so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. And so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs. And so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. And so we pour out our praise to you only. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. Friends, as we go our separate ways, I pray that God be with you this week, and we'll see you here at home next week. Bye-bye.
If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. And if you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Oh, find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, and I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ba-da-ba-ba-da, ba-da-da-da-da. You'll always have my shoulder when you cry. I'll never let go, never say goodbye. You know you can count on me like 1, 2, 3, and I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. You can count on me 'cause I can count on you. He was mourning for his people, slaves in exile, for all their sin. Then the dawning down by the river struck down in silence when he saw him. Clothed in white and face like lightning, golden linen, his voice a choir. Vision bright and Daniel trembling, mercy and love in those eyes of fire. I wanna see Jesus too. I wanna see Jesus too. Daniel fainted, an angel touched him, raised him up, said you are loved. Fear not, for God has heard you. That's the reason I have come. I wanna see Jesus too. wanna see Jesus too. We're all looking for the Savior. We need, we bleed, we plead and pray. Desperate cries rise to the heavens. Between the lines, I hear them say, I wanna see Jesus too. I wanna see Jesus too. Don't you? The splendor of a king, clothed in majesty. Let all the earth rejoice, all the earth rejoice. He wraps himself in light, and darkness tries to hide. It trembles at his voice, trembles at his voice. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God? So we'll see how great is our God. Age to age he stands, and time is in his hands. Beginning and the end, beginning and the end. The Godhead three in one, Father, Spirit, Son, the Lion and the Lamb, the Lion and the Lamb. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God? And oh, we'll see how great is our God. He's the name above all names. guide. He's the name above all names. You are worthy of all praise, and my heart will sing how great is our God. How great is our God. Sing with me, how great is our God. And all will see how great is our God. The weapon may be formed, but it won't prosper. When the darkness falls, it won't prevail. 'Cause the God I serve knows only how to triumph. My God will never fail. And I'm gonna see